Welcome to this Photoshop World presentation where I'm going to be taking you through some of my favorite new features found here inside of Adobe Photoshop CS4 and CS4 Extended. And of course this whole presentation will start here inside of Adobe Bridge. So let's get started. My first great feature I'd like to demonstrate here inside of Adobe Bridge is something up here under my View menu. Here in Bridge I can select Review Mode right here. This is a great feature that allows me to use my keyboard shortcut of my arrow keys to quickly and easily go through all of my images and dismiss a certain number of these images with the down arrow key to sort this to just the images I want for a particular project. In this case, these three images that I'm going to merge together using some of the new merge features here in CS4. Okay, now with these images selected, I hit the Escape key and go back to Bridge. Here inside of Bridge, I can select these items and quickly and easily create something called a collection. As you can see in this case, I created a collection of those three images quickly and easily. This is a standard collection that you click down here at the base to create a new collection, or you can create a metadata smart collection that looks at the metadata and sorts the images according to specific search criteria. Incredible. Okay, moving forward. In this project, I have these three images, of course, that I'd like to merge together into a panorama. But before I do that, I'm going to first select all three of these images and open them up, of course, inside of Adobe Camera Raw. In this new version, there's a great feature up here at the top, right here. It's called the Graduated Filter. I'm going to select that, and you can see that I've previously set up a graduated filter across the image, which then can adjust the image in this gradated filter technique. Fantastic. So I can make the sky lighter or darker, separated from the foreground. Great technique. You can also use this second tool right here, the adjustment brush. The adjustment brush lets you paint in these adjustments and then adjust them over here to the right. The same is true for the graduated filter. Okay, let's cancel from that and go back to these images because they're all done. I'd now like to merge them together. Going up here to the Tools menu, down here to Photoshop, right over to Photo Merge. It's all built into Adobe Bridge. Check this out. A couple new features I'd like to demonstrate: the vignette removal and the geometric distortion correction. I'm going to cancel from this and demonstrate them inside of Bridge. Over here in Bridge, I've taken these three images and I first combined them together so they look like this. You can see that it has a vignette problem. The edges are darker than the interior of the image. And quickly and easily with that vignette feature, you can quickly get rid of those edges and improve the quality of your blended panoramas. On top of that, the other feature, the geometric distortion correction, allows you to use a select set of lenses when you're photographing with Canon, Sigma, or Nikon lenses. It will identify these lenses from the metadata that you supply with the image, and it will give you much better correction to images taken with these lenses. So two great features, this fisheye lens support as well as the vignette removal that we saw earlier. Okay, let's get started with our project. I'm going to first open up this image right here, our panorama of our background that's been stitched together with these new features. Then I'm going to go over here and open up my original poster right here. So I have my two images open. Another great feature that you can see right now is the fact here inside of Photoshop CS4 you now have tabbed image support. So all your images stay together really nicely in this tabbed interface so you can quickly move between them. If you hold down the Command key on the Macintosh or the Control key on the PC and then the tilde key, you can switch between all of your open tabbed items. Let's go ahead and hide Adobe Bridge at this time and start our project. I'm first going to merge all of my layers together here for my panorama. Then with a great feature, I'm going to click here on the panorama and drag it up here to my poster. All I do is hover over the tabbed item that I want to move this selection to, drag it down inside, and it's right there. I'm going to move this into position to start designing my poster. As you can see though, I'm missing some sky up here. As we've known in the past, if you transform an image and you want to stretch the sky to meet the size of your poster, it stretches the entire image and everything gets distorted in the process. there's a great new feature here inside of CS4 called Content Aware Scale. From the Edit menu, I can go down to Content Aware Scale right here. Check it out. I can easily take any photo and make it fit my layout. In this case, I'm clicking here on the top and it's stretching the sky because it's focusing in on the sky as the area with the least complexity. And you can see I can stretch the sky, but it's leaving the lower portion alone because it sees the complexity in this region and says, I think I will not distort that. Fantastic. I hit enter and I'm done. Okay, let's check this out. Selecting the zoom tool, I'm going to zoom in on this image right here. I'm just holding down and zooming. Check it out, I can zoom all the way into this sub-pixel grid. If I hold down the Option or Alt key, I can zoom back out just like this. But wait, even more. If I hold down the H key right now, I'm going to use a spring-loaded key system in CS4. So it's going to temporarily take me to the hand tool because I'm holding down the H key. Then I click on the screen and it gives me this bird's eye view that I can relocate my position and then zoom in to a new location. What's happening over here? Wow, that's an interesting looking character. We should get rid of this guy because he is going to destroy our entire poster. So I'm going to use a great new feature here under the Clone Stamp tool. I'm going to use a preview mode that allows you to see what you're going to be painting with this new clone tool. Let's check it out. Holding down my spacebar key, I'm going to go over here and I want to get a section that I'm going to clone or copy. I'm going to open up my Clone Stamp tools here from my tabbed panels over here to the right. Then I'm going to go in and hold down my Option or Alt key and sample an area that I'd like to paint with. If I move away from that position, you can see a preview now built into the brush. Now here's a great feature. With keyboard shortcuts, I can go in and I can change the softness of the brush interactively or even the size of the brush interactively, just like this. In this case, I want a fairly small brush and I want it fairly soft. So a combination of these two, just like that, quickly and easily from that keyboard shortcut. Now in this case, I need to mirror my clone surface, so I'm going to select a minus sign for my width. I'm going to move over here, move into position, and all I do is start to paint. Let's move into position and see how quickly and easily we can get rid of this offending area of this image. Just like that, we're done. Double clicking on my hand tool, that looks great. We've cleaned that area up perfectly. Let's close this down and move to our next project. And that's right here with our football players. In this first project, I want to demonstrate a great new way of making color corrections. And it starts with color range, the new improved color range. I'm going to target the layer containing the players right here. Then I'm going to go up to the select menu and down to color range because I want to identify the colors within the jersey of this player on the right. I want to identify those so I can change the colors of the jersey. Holding down my Shift key, I can start to add to the selection within this area. Now what you're going to see in a moment is an amazing new feature that allows me to use localized color clusters. Localized color clusters sounds like some new breakfast cereal. I'm going through and I'm targeting the colors here in the jersey on the right hand side, though there are several other areas of red in the image which are also showing up in the selected region. But that's okay because we're going to restrict in on this selection. But here it is, the great new feature called range combined with localized color clusters. It allows me to move the range so that I'm zeroing in on just the shades I'm interested in quickly and easily, just like that. Then I click OK and I have a selection just of that particular red in this image, localized color clusters. Fantastic. Okay, now I want to make an adjustment to this. I want to make a non-destructive adjustment, so I'm going to use a new adjustment layer. By clicking on this panel, I reveal the new adjustment layer panel. Check it out. I want to change the color, so all I do is go over here and click on Create New Hue and Saturation Adjustment Layer. It adds that up here, and I can now go in and make some adjustments. If I move this to the right, I can adjust it just like this. But what's even greater is a new feature found right here If I click on this icon, I can now click and drag directly on my image to adjust both hue and saturation. In this case, I'm holding down the Command key on the Macintosh, clicking on this red jersey, moving to the left, and I can then change this all the way over here to blue, just like that. So direct select adjustments on your images. Fantastic. Okay, we're ready to move forward, and it looks like the next thing I need to do is to demonstrate the new dodge and burn feature, because I need to add a shadow on this player on the left. Going over here, I'm going to select my dodge and burn tool right here, and in this case the burn, and up here in the options bar I want to make sure I have midtone selected, and I want to bring my exposure up to 100% because I'd like to demonstrate something first. Let's bring this up in size a bit, and then let's go up here to the options bar and let's turn off protect tones. So that's what's new. Let's turn it off, and then let's burn on this left hand side using the old method. Look at that. The color's much too dark, and it's actually changing the hue of the grass as I paint. When I turn protect tones on, this new feature in CS4, and then I burn the grass, I get a much more realistic shadow-like effect on the surface. So on the right is protect tones, on the left is the old way. Let's undo that and turn protect tones back on and then paint in our shadow. I'm going to go into my layer, change the size of my brush, and go in with a light 20% brush, and I can start to paint in to add in my shadow gently and easily, and it's a really nice quality shadow. The tones are just right. They don't look too distorted. Okay, fantastic. Now we're ready to bring in some 3D elements that can be done with Adobe Photoshop CS4 Extended. Here I'm going to turn on this layer of helmets just like this. You can see the helmets seem to appear as if they're 2D items, but in fact, if I click on one of them and use one of my new 3D adjustment tools over here, I can then target this helmet and start to move it around easily and quickly. So a great way to reposition 3D artwork to get just the position you need for a particular poster or design you're working on. But wait, of course, there's more. With 3D items, you can go into the actual texture of these items, and you can paint on the texture or add additional layers to the texture. In this case, onto the helmet, I'd like to add this logo. And so now I can have two logos on either one of these helmets, and of course, once you place that down, you can still move this around and adjust it. Not only can you apply graphics directly to the textures, you can also paint onto any surface of a 3D object, as well as paste objects onto 3D objects. Fantastic. You also notice down here in the lower section of this poster, I've also placed a graphic, a 3D graphic in this case, onto the surface of the playing field. Okay, there it is, my finished poster. Now, to finish this all off, I'd like to announce a great new panel that's going to be available to NAPP members only. This panel is going to help you create watermarked versions of any of your original photographs or artwork. Here in this panel, you can identify the watermark image you'd like to apply to any group of open images or a folder of images. If I close this down and go back over to Adobe Bridge, you can see here are some sample images I've created. You can place different styles of graphics onto your surface, in this case with a blend mode, or a special effect, or even a simple emboss. So there it was, a great new tool for adding